You think you know JFS. Do you really?
JFS. I don't think I do. Nothing's coming to mind.
Hey, do you know what JFS stands for?
JFS. John Fitzgerald Smith. JFS. Junior. Right so far? Junior. Future. Scientists. I guess not.
Is it like AARP?
Now you know what JFS stands for.
Jewish Family Service. So what's that?
But do you know anything about JFS?
You give services to families, but so to Jewish families, or do Jewish people give services to any family, or?
In fact, did you know that the roots of Jewish family service began over 100 years ago? That it was founded in 1872 as the Hebrew Women's Benevolence Society? And 16 years later, in 1888, the name was changed to the Jewish Relief Society of Salt Lake City? 37 years later, the Jewish Relief Society became one of the earliest affiliates of the Community Chest, today's United Way. Working tirelessly through the Depression years, the volunteers of the Jewish Relief Society provided food to people who had lost their jobs. The members paid bills for those in need, found housing for refugees, and even provided funds for medical care. During World War II, the Jewish Relief Society supported many programs offered to soldiers. Well, 1961 was a momentous year. The Jewish Community Center of Salt Lake City opened its doors on 17th South, where the Jewish Relief Society, now officially renamed Jewish Family Service, rented a room for its first permanent office. Whoa, who are these people? Jay and Julie Jacobson, this evening's honorees. Did you know that? Right, we're in the 60s. Julie was deeply affected by the Vietnam War and the draft, women's rights and feminism. In 1968, while Jay was in medical school, they met on a blind date.
And we went to see The Graduate.
Just to reinforce one of the earlier questions that you asked about service together, I want to absolutely affirm that I was not drawn to the prospect of doing service projects with this beautiful woman.
We have worked professionally together at certain points in our life, but not on, I don't know.
I think raising a child is a service project, and I think we worked on that for a long time and continue to work on that together.
I think one thing that really guides my father quite a bit in terms of his own ethics and his own philosophy is humility, and I think that really shows with the way that he gives and the way that both of my parents have given. It's just something that is done. I don't think I could find my parents' names on bricks and walls, on buildings and things like that. That's not sort of the spirit in which they give. And I very much respect that.
Well, as early as elementary school, my parents involved us in their service projects, things like making sandwiches for the homeless and helping a neighbor with their yard work. When I was a medical technology student at the University of Florida, I worked at night in the blood bank. And my training program provided volunteers for blood drives. So I volunteered, and I was assigned to the team that was drawing blood at Rayford, Florida's state prison. So really any service project after that is a piece of cake.
As a child, I was surrounded by service. My dad volunteered for the military, which was at that time called the service. We still refer to servicemen and women. My mother had always been active in Hadassah, and even when she was working to support me as a single mom, she went to regular Hadassah meetings, saved money. I can remember little places that we saved money in the house that then went on to Israel and Hadassah. So I think that was interrupted for a while, but resumed, I think, once we came back to Salt Lake and started a life together here. And as I say, I'm really easy. If people ask for help, I'm happy to do that. I try to bring to the groups that I serve the skills that I have. So if I'm working with a medical organization, maybe it's directly providing either medical assistance or teaching medicine to people who can go on and take care of people in need. But I think Jewish Family Services has a couple of different reasons why it's appealing to us, I think. One is it's a Jewish organization, and I think it grows out of a history of Jewish people helping each other when help is otherwise unavailable.
There's an order to giving service, family first, and then community, and then reaching out to the state and your country and the world. So Jewish Family Service fits in that second category of need, providing services for your own community.
So now you know more about JFS, but do you really know what JFS offers?
The official mission of JFS is to strengthen individuals and families and educate communities through counseling, care management, and community education. I think if you were to ask the staff, what is our mission, we would all say it's to be as responsive as we can to the needs of this community. I'm reminded of a young woman we worked with at our Park City Career Network. We started the network 2 summers ago in response to the enormous unemployment we were seeing. And that group meets every Monday as a support group to help folks who are unemployed find new work and support them through the process.
Ellen expressed her feeling that this was something that was needed, and would we be interested in hosting it? And we immediately said yes, and it just went from there.
This young woman had come from the East Coast with 2 children. She was a single mom and had taken a job that she was very excited about. About a month into the job, the business was sold and her job was no more. And so she started to come to our career network, very distressed, very anxious, and very depressed. In that emotional state, it was going to be really hard for her to find a new job. So she began to see a counselor at JFS for individual counseling. She also was in dire financial straits, and so Jewish Family Service was able to help her with emergency assistance, with food from our food pantry, and really support her through that job search process and make sure that her kids had a roof over their head and food on the table, gifts at Hanukkah. We provided a real safety net for that family, which is what we try to do for all our families.
Enabling someone to learn to fend for themselves and support themselves is another very, is something that our tradition esteems. When people first came to America, what did they do? They went to the Jewish community and they needed a job as a tailor or as whatever it might be, and they networked within the Jewish community to find a job and to find a position. And well, my Uncle Mort has a factory and he makes safety pins, and come down, he's going to give you a job. So this really follows on a long history of Jews reaching out and trying to help others in the Jewish community. And of course, today, whether they're Jewish or not, I know the Jewish Family Service tries to help them, as well they should.
You don't have to be Jewish to be helped by Jewish Family Service. We're available to everyone in the community, very much under the value of Tikkun Olam, repair the world. We've maintained our connection to the older adults from the former Soviet Union and remain very committed to supporting them in their own homes and having them age in their own homes. And our older adult services have grown exponentially.
My name Fira, my husband name Yefim. We live in the same town named Gomel in Belarus. Really, Jewish Family Service help us. We came to America in 1992 in New York, in Airport Kennedy and live in New York 2 years. 2 years. Then we
moved to Salt Lake.
Go to Salt Lake because all family live here, and we received this apartment. We arrived, it is empty, and Jewish Family Service tell us, come to us, and they drive us to special storage. Storage, and tell us, take what you want without money. And we so surprised, how, without money? Yes, take. And we take dishes, spoon,
Furniture.
and furniture. I look you, come. Big help, Jewish Family Service. They tell us, we will be, study you English. And we started attend a special English lesson that teacher was Galina Bakina. We regular attend this lesson. It will be big help to us. And then we have a more friend. Our family sometimes feel not okay with money. And we apply several times in Jewish Family Service and ask Jewish Family Service give us loan.
Without percent. Loan without percent.
Without interest.
Because loan in Jewish Family Service was without percent.
Interest.
Without interest. And several times Jewish Family Service help us because life in America has different situation.
What is a lunch bunch?
A lunch bunch would be a group of people who get together for lunch at a certain time every month to discuss whatever they want to discuss.
Now, what does a lunch bunch have to do with JFF?
Well, we had 2 pastrami sandwiches, and it cost me $37.
Hold this in your hand and eat it.
And then there was an armed guard at the door, you know. It's not like the old days.
I enjoy the lunch bunch because they're my friends and I can get to them by being picked up. I like the idea of having a group get together, enjoy each other, and I'm very lucky to have my regular driver, Sue Products.
I didn't know that.
Candy Friedman is the one that organized and that these young women here take care of our senior citizens.
I worked with the teenagers for 12 years in B'nai B'rith Youth, and I will say that I'm having more fun with the seniors than I am with the teenagers. You have to get together sometime or another with people your own age.
We're concerned about each other on how we're doing and so on, because as we get on in years, you know, who cares about us except the person that, you know, is.
Are you walking well?
So on and so
Sleep
forth.
well at night?
The only sad part is that every so
Well, I used to
often
be a
somebody
salesman.
dies, like Sam Sapitsky.
When I was younger, I was in charge of the senior citizens of the Jewish Community Center. And now, these young women are taking care of the senior citizens, which is wonderful.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
It was an amazing thing that Jewish Family Services did this year. They had a new initiative where they made sure that all of those people who might not have otherwise been able to afford Passover food, who might have been struggling this year, really had the opportunity to have a full basket of food to cover maybe not their needs for the entire week, but their matzah and their gefilte fish and their charoset and all of these wonderful pieces of a Passover week that people might otherwise not have had the opportunity to have. JFS provided for them. This year, the Westminster Hillel, the new Hillel, was involved helping construct the baskets, and I hope that this year maybe we can get some of our Kol Ami students and some more people involved in the construction and the distribution of those baskets. It didn't just touch the lives of the people who received the baskets, but each one of the students learned something about what it means to give back to their community and to think about each individual who is receiving this basket and realizing that they had the opportunity to make a difference in the life of someone else, even if it just meant a little bit of food for a holiday.
My husband was a computer sales rep for mainframe, large computers, and I was a computer programmer engineer. And we met at work and fell in love and got married and blended our two families together. He worked until he started having problems and then was having difficulty at work and other things, and we didn't really know what was wrong, but then he hadn't worked for about 15 years now. There aren't a lot of people that have been diagnosed with frontal temporal dementia at the time that my husband was diagnosed. But the University of Utah put me in touch with another woman whose husband had FTD, and we started a support group. And I heard the words, you need to get respite, you can't do this by yourself. But even though I had that in my head, it took me a long time to get it into my heart. I was having my family was doing most of the respite care, so my grandson was coming in while I did the support group, and I was taking my husband most places with me, but then it became difficult to do that. And so someone at the Alzheimer's Association told me about the grant program that the Jewish Family Services was offering, and they said I should call. And I waited a little while. I was afraid. My husband was, as I said, quite reclusive and didn't like outsiders, and I was afraid to bring someone in. And I called, finally, I got brave and called, and Liz Garcia-Levitt came out to our house and met with me and with my husband and interviewed us, and I think she gave us the grant at that very moment. The grant pays for my caregiver, who comes when I go to my meetings or for my respite or to enjoy myself. The first time that I had a caregiver come to the house, I didn't know what to do with myself. And I was so used to running and doing what I had to do and get back in the car that for the first time I went to 12 stores because I would run in and run out, because if I didn't have something on my list that I had to do, I really didn't know how to relax. It's very difficult to ask people to help, but by asking for help from the Jewish services, it's helped me to ask other people for help in return. For instance, as an example, I had a friend who was going to come by and visit. This sounds like a tiny little step, and I was able to say, could you stop at the grocery store and pick up some bread and lettuce for me? That's those tiny steps that you take to take care of yourself and your loved one and your family so that you can keep them in the home. So thank you to the Jewish services for allowing me to learn how to ask for help.
Adhering to the Jewish philosophy of tikkun olam, or repair the world, JFS and the Jacobsons have touched countless lives over the years, not only in our own community, but around the globe, not only repairing, but creating a better world for all of us.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, Lasod et HaShabbat, Lidorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, Ki sheshet shamim asa Adonai, et HaShamayim ואת הארץ ויום השביעי שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם